Let me moisturize my lips as I go live. Hey, everybody. Ooh, all these rings I just got sitting around here. Hey, everybody. So we're going live today on a Saturday evening. Not going to take too long. Not going to be here forever. Just got, just want to have a little check-in as we go into the end of the year. I'm trying to do better this year about it because let's just be honest. The end of the year can be rough, but it should be rejuvenating. And that's what I really think. And I'm trying to do my own thing too. And so, as I'm trying to face it and do some things myself, especially as we get toward the middle of the month, I wanted to share with you all. So, if you are here, come on in and say hello. Hello, how are you? It's good seeing you. And so I said, how did I call this? Take some stuff off your plate. So some of this is going to be about releasing things in 2023 that might be, you know, just a few things we need to release. Nothing major because I am not a therapist, a psychologist, or any of that. Hey, Chantel, I'm just a person who's lived kind of a kind of a long time. Not super long, because I'm looking at least another 40 years on this. I'm working for 40 at least here. So, but I've been here long enough to see things, experience, and everything. So I said this about the plate because, baby, let me tell you. Let me give you the story behind me saying this. Um, Years ago, when I had my what happened there? Hey, Drea. I had my when I used to do, oh, let me say it right. When I was a belly dancer, and I was a belly dance instructor, teaching women about how to feel comfortable in their skin. Because when I first began as a belly dance instructor, it just became because it was like something that happened. I knew how to belly dance. I was approached. I could make a little side money. I was like, cool. But as I did it and understood what it gave. And because as a black woman, as a woman in American society, let me just say it like that. What I learned was so many women were so uncomfortable in their skin. And part of teaching belly dance was teaching them to be comfortable in their skin and how to move and feel sensual and sexual and knowing that it was okay. So when during that time I used to write, I had wrote some emails. I was sending email out, and I had these ones that would get people upset. But it was like they were seeing themselves in it. I had to learn they were seeing themselves into it, and couldn't face it. So one of the things I said one time, because you know what, one of the things that you hear, and I'm saying this as women because I'm a woman, and a lot of my experiences are talking with women over the years is, girl, I got so much on my plate. Girl, I got so much on my plate, right? And it's like, they doing stuff at church, they got their job, they doing stuff for their family, and all these things. I do really need to get back into it. 2024 is going to see me getting back into it heavily. Um, I need to take classes and stuff again just to feel like I can do it. Um, so anyway, uh, so one of the things, and that was always the thing, the reasonings for not doing for themselves was because their plate was full. They had so much on their plate, work and family responsibilities, friends, and let me say this, when I say family, I don't mean just your children. I mean parents and things like this. Like, I have a friend in particular, she might watch this, is a friend who is always got something to do with her family, whether it's a party or a get together. And it's like, when do you have time for you? It's like all these obligations that we give ourselves and say we have to do for other people. Now, here's the thing about that is that Let's just say this, and I'm gonna tell you this in real talk. Trust and believe the same amount of energy that you're putting out. A lot of times, we're not getting that energy given back to us when we feel like we need it. We are, and especially with these people who feel like they are the rocks of their family, right? They are the people that everyone comes to, and their plate is always full with family, with friends who come to them with their, not only their physical needs, like, oh, I need help, can you take me to the store, can you take care of this for me, but their psychic, their emotional needs. We take on so much of other people's issues and needs, and forget about ours. And I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Sometimes we do it so we don't have to face ourselves and take care of ourselves. I'm gonna let that marinate for us. I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna let that marinate. And I'm gonna let you go on and think about what I just said. Because oftentimes when we are taking care of everyone else, it's to avoid taking care of ourselves. Whether we're doing it consciously or subconsciously, that's exactly what we're doing. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. I want you to hear that and think about how often you allow the needs of others around you to supersede what you need. Ooh, it's real quiet in the comments. I see people here, but it's real quiet. Okay. So when we talk about how full our plate is, and let me tell you something. I'm saying this from personal experience, especially now, living multi-generational, having my grandkids around me. It is easy to put things on your plate and not take care of you. I'm doing it. I am a witness to it myself. And it's really interesting because I had so many years where it was, my kids was grown. My plate was on me. It was like, I'm bopping, I'm doing my thing. And it was about me as an adult to now roll back and see myself becoming that person. And I don't even have to be that person because these are not my personal responsibilities, but they are my responsibilities because I love them so much. I love them so much. I love my grandkids. So it's like I have to watch myself because it's easy to be sucked into the taking care of them over doing something for me. And so that's my challenge personally. So that's what I'm saying. It's not that my plate is super full right now. I got rid of some of the stuff on my plate. I'm not in school anymore. And things like that do take a lot out of you. It drains you. I'm not in school. I don't have to worry about that. I got work and some great immigrant. There is time for me. And so I want you all to honestly say, where can I carve in the time for me and stop giving all of my time away, right? There is some time that you can carve into your week for you. Now, I'm not saying it's got to be an everyday thing, but it has to be some time that you carve in there to you for you. And here's how we're gonna do it. We are going to release some of this shit. We're gonna take some stuff off our plate. Here's why. Here's how we're going to do this. Because we are going to stop giving up all of our time to everyone around us. I'm going to let y'all pause for a second and think about that. So, like for instance, and I haven't been doing it like I said I was, I had decided that I needed to get out of the house on Saturday mornings. Why? Not because of any other thing, but I just needed to get out of my house because of the fact that I've become a very introverted extrovert. I like being at home. I love my house. I be in my house. I'm happy, right? But I need to get out of my house because there's so many distractions in my house to not do things for me, not to spend just doing something for me. And when I say just get out, it can be just go have a cup of coffee someplace and sit down with my computer, with my phone, just do a few things for me. with no distractions, without my little babies coming up to me like Gigi, and I'm like, oh, look at your babies, they happy, let's play. See what I'm saying? Those are the things that I have to do. And then also I need to get back in shape. So it's like I have to carve that time out, right? So what I want you to do is think about what you want to do for yourself and figure out how you're going to make that time and give something off of that plate. It's so full with all these obligations that you've put on there. Because let's just be honest, unless you have small children, unless you have someone that you have to take care of, because that, and sometimes we do, and even in those situations you still have to find some time for you. It might not be as much time as I can find for myself, because I am in a space and time where I should be able to do that. But we have to find that time. We have to make that time for us. Sometimes it's hard because of the situation and the obligations we have. Now, in those situations, maybe it won't be weekly. Maybe it'll be like once a month you can carve out some time that's just for you. But you have to find some place and time for yourself. Real talk. And even if it's going to get a pedicure by yourself, and maybe having lunch by yourself, but find time for you. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean spending time with other people, because it's easy to fall into that space where we have to be around other people. No, sometimes we need to just be by ourselves. And like, for instance, I'm just going to be real. One of the things, if you are a single parent or a person who has the obligations of maybe a parent taking care of your parents who needs you now, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to adjust your sleeping. Let me just tell you how you're going to do this. You're going to adjust your sleeping. And yes, you might not sleep as much as sometimes, but you're going to have to adjust that sleeping, maybe on the weekends, maybe when you don't have to go to work, and carve out the time to just breathe without anyone awake. Sometimes it's all we can do when it comes down to giving ourselves something. So if you can't and be willing to take some things off your plate, because here's the deal. Sometimes we can delegate and we don't. Oftentimes as women, and I'm going to say this, and you have to be honest with yourselves, we take on the weight of the world even when we don't have to, because we can actually ask for somebody help. There are people who will help us, but we are too strong. We got this. Listen, sometimes getting it is understanding that sometimes I need a break. I need some time. So if you are in a situation, and that's the other thing, look at what your plate is full of. Is it because it's really your obligations, or are you taking on everybody else's weight so they can live a better carefree life? I have on pants today, so I can't slap my thigh. Y'all know I like to slap my thigh, like boom, exclamation point. So just know I was about to slap my thigh and give y'all an exclamation point on that, because so often our plates are full of the obligations of making other people's lives easier. I'm seeing quiet. Why is it so quiet in the comments? It's a bunch of y'all in here. Y'all don't want to tell the truth about yourself. Because a lot of times when I used to write this stuff out, people used to get mad at me and stop talking to me. Every time I did one of these conversations, I would write something like this, right? Right? I would lose I would lose people on my email list. People would unsubscribe to my email list. It happened every time. So yes, it's about setting the boundaries. Thank you, Ouija. It's about setting the boundaries and sticking to the boundaries. Now, that's the thing. It's not just setting the boundaries, but sticking to the boundaries, because we're usually the fastest one to not to let people cross that boundary. We're the ones who do. We can be all upset about people, but we are the ones that allow them to. See, as they always say, people will only do what you allow them to. So if you find that people are always coming to you, and I hear this all the time, everybody comes to me. You know why? Because you do the things for everybody. See, here's the thing. People, when we feel like we are being put upon, and sometimes we do, we feel put upon, everybody's coming to us. I'm always the one that they come to. You know why? Because you are always the one that puts yourself out to solve, give solutions, and make sure everybody's okay. And then you are worn out. You are worn out and frustrated and feel not appreciated. Because let's talk about that, because it's always, there's this a feeling of not being appreciated when we are the rock, the rock, the roots of our family's situation. You know why? Because we are the ones that sit here and feel we need to do everything for everybody, because that is who we are, and we've become that person, and that's the truth. See, let me tell you something. Um, I'm the youngest in my immediate family, my brothers and sisters. And I was very much kind of that person that would, you know, okay, I was there for people and my nephews and all this stuff. Well, I had a big falling out with my sisters about 15 years ago. And when it happened, hey, they turned their back on me. I turned my back on them. We are cordial now. But it did free me from some of those obligations that I felt to do, if I was called upon, do financially helping and all these things. All those things went away. And it kind of freed me. Right? Right? And see, what happens is we put all this stuff on our plate and our plate gets cracked. And eventually it's going to break. And when it does, we are always so devastated. And, first off, a lot of times with our place being cracked and everything, we're expecting people to come to our assistance, and they're not. Why? Because why should they? We've always been the one that's taken care of them, done everything. So when we are finally at the breaking point, we are in those instances, we are usually so devastated, so uncomfortable, so the reality of how people treat us then becomes so hurtful, because now we need people and they're not here for us. Well, they're not going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be some who will be there for you. And a lot of those will be the surprising people, that the ones that you ain't do shit for because they was busy doing for themselves. So oftentimes, and this is what you hear everybody say, when nobody there for me, and things like that. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Why would you expect them to be there for you when they weren't there for themselves? No, you were there for them. So why would they be there for themselves when they didn't have to be? Why would they be there for you when they wasn't? Right? Right? And so you have to learn how to decide, is it this important, I think, or can they handle this on their own? Because so if you are that person in the family, you're gonna have to let people be grown, because they grown as you. And that's the one thing that we have to remember. Everybody around us is grown. And here's one thing that I want y'all to remember, and I had to learn this early on. Sometimes, especially when we talk about people who are like younger than us, maybe family, nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever, we look at them from the space that we are now, like, oh, I'm 40 something, they're so young. Here's what I want you to remember. What were you doing and taking care of at that age? When you do that, right? When you do that, girl, I am too. When you actually think about what you were doing at the same age, it will free you to say, go and take care of yourself. Because I had to do that years ago. I was like, well, I'm acting like these people are so young, when at that same age, I was doing this, and the other. Why? Because I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? So once you do that, then you can free yourself to feel like, oh, it's okay to say no, right? Because so often we are older now and we feel like, oh, these young people, they really need us. We need to take a no. Mm-mm. Like, I had to look at it and say, wait a minute, when I was 27 years old, I was a single mama. I left a daddy. I was living on my own. I was working. I was trying to go. I decided I was going back to school. I did all those things. Now, yes, I did have help, but my help was just enough to get me through. Not so much that it was it it gave me weak. It made me weak. And so remember this, when we are giving a lot of this assistance to people, we are making them weak. We're not being strong for them. We are making them weak. And one of the things that we have to do in this life is to help people be strong, because people got to be self-reliant. And so if you all of this that you're doing for people is helping them to rely more on you than on themselves, you need to step away and let them do those things. And when it comes to, let me just say this. Listen, you don't have to go to every fucking family event that's around. If you have a large family and they do have all these events, it's okay to say no to them. It's okay to say, hey, I'm going to drop the kids off and I'm going to go take care of me for a minute. Because guess what? There's enough family there to take care of your kids if that's the case. But if your children are older, why do you feel this need that you got to be at every fucking family event? Now, this is true. They do this for social media, and then they upset themselves. So let's talk social media. You, in this life that we live, we're gonna talk about social media all on its own. Is understand what your motivations are for some things. Are you doing it because you want to, or because you want to feel like you're that person? Because so many times a lot of people get off on being worn out by all of the requests and things that people are giving them. So I want you, that's another thing that you need to look into yourself and see, am I really doing it for helping or being helpful, thoughtful to people, or am I doing it based on my expectations of them doing for me? Because so often people are very, they do things for people, and it's a quid pro quo, their expectations, the quid pro quo. And if you feel that way, that's the times that you will be sorely disappointed when you need something. Because so often people believe that people are going to do for them the way they do for others, and that is not true. If you're going to do for some people, you cannot have any expectations of getting anything back. And that, because when you do that, then puts you in a space where you're upset because they ain't gonna give you what you need when you need it, because that's not who they are. And so that we have all these unreal expectations of ourselves and others, so we put ourselves out for everybody, being this rock, being this strong person for everybody, in the expectation of, when I am not strong and I need it, people are going to come for me because I've always been there for them. And so often we are shocked when that does not happen. Why? Because you have unreal expectations of people, and your expectations are for them to respond the same way that you do. And that's not how life works. That's not how life works. So what you have to do is have realistic expectations of people, and then move accordingly to those expectations. Now, so if you do for them, you have to be under the understanding that I probably won't get this reciprocity from them. So then by doing that, you can make a conscious choice without expectations. And then, right? And then we'll understand that everybody is not going to be there for you. And now, I'm not saying that sometimes you can't be there for them, but you can't make them a priority with the expectation that you're going to be a priority for them. And you know what? I've been listening to Lean on Me recently, and I hadn't really listened to it in years. And I still love that song. But I have to say, that's true. But it's such a beautiful song and such a beautiful sentiment. But that ain't the life. That ain't the truth. When you're not strong, I'll be your strength. Um, I'll help you carry on. Right? But here's the thing. What you have to understand is, who are those people in your life that you can lean on and they can lean on you, because it ain't everybody. And understand that the majority of people who will lean on you ain't gonna be your strength. So you have to understand that and make those conscious decisions. Are and right? But you have to be willing to make those conscious decisions and say, okay, this person needs me, but I know they're not going to be here for me when I need them. And I'm okay with that, because this is what I'm going to do for them in the moment. But and if that's the case, you have to then decide, what moments are you going to be there for people? Because you don't have to be there 100%. Because I promise you, there's other people who ain't. And you know what? Them other people, especially when they family, they know you gonna take up the slack, so they ain't got to. I'm just here to be the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you the truth. A lot of times when you are that person in the family, that's because let me say this, and I'm saying it nice, you the goof in the family. You're the goof who does all this for everybody, and they don't have to. So they step back and let you do it. Think about when situations like when you're at a family event. Hey, Courtney, when you're at a family event or anything like that. And that's what I'm saying. People hesitate because the expectation is you take care of everybody. There ain't nobody gonna take care of you, but you have to be realistic, is that you have set that up. You have set that up in your life. Not anybody else. You have. Because you have been that person. And so then they gonna hesitate, like, what? You want me to do what? You want me to take some time out for me? Right? And do something for you? Mm, mm. Now, of course, there are people who will always be there for you. But those ones that, let me tell you something. The people who are consistently asking for you for something, the people who are always needy, you can just bottom line 100% know they're not going to be there for you. And if the people, think about the people who ask the most of you, and especially look at the way they move. Most of them have a certain amount of selfishness, and it's sometimes, let's just be honest, they got some healthy selfishness. We ain't got it. So they are the ones who are not going to be there for you if it's going to infringe upon something that's important to them. And that is the thing that we are most upset with and hurt by. Because when we really need it, because we've always been there for them, we come to their rescue, we take care of them. They need something from us, we're there. And when we just really need something and they say no, understand that they have a healthy selfishness that we don't have, because they're looking at it. I would be there for you, but I got this on my. I'm about to I got to do this, and this is important to me. And so when you look at them as a person, start seeing that, and A, don't be expecting them to come through. And B, start saying no. Start saying no to these people, because trust me, they are not going to, if it's going to infringe upon their time, their thing, they ain't coming through. And you cannot be mad at them, because in your heart, in your heart, in your subconscious, you know they're not. And so often we know these people aren't, and yet we're still disappointed, because we are hoping that all of this that we've done for them, they're going to learn how to be this type of person because of our selflessness. Maybe some of this is rubbing off. It's not. I promise you, it's not. They're who they are. They're going to be who they are. Right? 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 Exactly. And so that, but we have to understand that those are the people who are not going to be there for us, because their expectations, we take care of them. What, you need some? So by doing this, we have to be willing to step back. So I want you, before you hit 2024, because I'm not going to stay on too much longer, because I do need to do a few things on the other channel. I got to put something up for today. I want you all to step back, right? And I want you all to think about the things that you put on your plate and what you can let go of, right? Hey, Faith, I want you all to step back and see what you all can take off your plate. What people you can say no to sometimes. What things and I want you to be ready. Right. So what I want you all to do is, we can't do it overnight, but I want you all to start 2024 really thinking about those things and really make some decisions about how you're going to A, carve out some time for you, and B, be less present for other people if that is an issue for you. It ain't an issue for me too much. Well, it is for these people upstairs, but for but you have to figure that out. So I want you all to figure out how to carve out that time for you. Be okay with giving yourself some time. And also saying no to some things. And these people will make it. I promise you. Right? Yeah. And once you can say these people ain't got you like you got them, and be okay with it, because it's going to be hurtful in the beginning, but you have to be okay with it. You have to be okay with it, and then allow yourself to mourn that, and then move on and be there for the people who are there for you, however you want to be. But some of those people, child, yes, to your kids, honey, these kids that wear you out. And so it's important that we figure this out. So we're not gonna say it's overnight, but we're gonna start, because you cannot stay in that space forever, because it's not healthy. And when I say it's not only healthy, it's mentally draining. Let's just be here. It is mentally draining, and it is physically harming you. Listen, people always ask me how you keep your skin looking so good, because I don't let any of those things stress me anymore. I let go a lot of that stress. But also, it's just a mental drain on you, takes you out, has you just worn out, right? And physically, it can become problematic for you on a physical level. Even if you're not willing to face it, yes, it is. Because so many things that happen to our bodies is a manifestation of our emotions and our mental state. And so once we can say that, we can release some of that and then become a healthier person all around. And if it takes you going to see somebody, because once again, as I began this, I am not a therapist. I am just a person who has lived life and let go of some things. Oh yes, honey, I call them the vampires. Um, so you have to be willing. Okay, first off, you don't look that awful. Let's just say this. I've seen your pictures, Courtney. You don't look that awful. However, I do think that yes, you take on a lot, and so you guys to learn how to release it, because if you don't, it does become a mental and physical drain on ourselves, and so and physically you become sick, and so you have to start looking at that. You know, how is your heart health? How are these things? These are all stress will mess with all of that. And that's something we have to be honest about. Stress does a lot to our bodies. And then we allow that stress to continue on. It's like you're sitting there like this, always tense. If you feel intense all the time, it's time to let go of some of that tension. Go get a massage. Do something for you. Which reminds me, I need a massage bad, y'all. Oh, I need to go get me a massage. Mm. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Got to put that on my list of things. So the first thing, so I want you to think about those things, and I want you to start thinking where you can release some of this tension in your life, and how you can, and don't get me wrong, it might not be that you got to let go of everything, but you need to let go of a few things, right? And you need to you have to release some things to gain some things. So you can't, so in order to be a healthier person and be around for people and be present for real for the people that you want to be present for, you got to let go of some of this shit. And as a parent, and one of the things that we have to learn, and this is, we don't do this well as humans sometimes, is that we have to look at what birds do to their baby birds. Eventually they kick them out the nest. Now I'm not saying you got to kick them out of y'all nest, but you got to give them some wings to fly. Yes, as parents we should always do things for our families. We should always be there for our children when they need us. But we also have to be realistic when we are giving them a crutch, when all they need is a helping hand. See, the crutch is they hold on and they own us like this. But if we hold their hand and help them get through this period and let that hand release that hand, then they are stronger. So often we keep our children weaker because we trying to be that super parent forever. No, part of parenting is teaching our children coping skills, how to survive and things like that. Yes, if they need us, we there. But also we can't be there 24/7 for grown motherfuckers or young adults, because they have to learn how to manage things on their own. I'm not saying we got to kick the kids out at 18, not at all, but they have to be moving in a space of they're taking on more responsibility for themselves. They are not on you. Because see, you could have your kids living in your house and they ain't on you. Kids, if you got grown kids living in your house and they working, and I get it because times is tough, they better be buying some groceries in that house. They better be doing something for the house to because that is, you are no longer, as my mama taught me, from 0 to 18, the law says that I have to do this I have to take care of you, right? The rest is love. My mama taught me that, and at the time when she said that, because I said this, listen, that was the 18-year-old speech I gave my kids too. It took me about 2 years to really understand what she meant, right? And it was, and what's so interesting is by hearing that from my mother, and my mother's one of the sweetest, kindest people around, and you know, but to tell me that and to then understand what she meant by that, I appreciated what my mother gave me. And when I saw young other adults around me acting like their parents owed them something, I was like, no, they really don't. They don't owe you shit anymore. And so even though my mother wasn't that type of person who was like, no, but she would tell me no, she would, if she felt like it. Like, I ain't watching the kids there, I'm going to do something. And it made me see that this is how life is supposed to be. If you feel tired, and I'm saying this to all the grandparents here because I know I got to do it too. If you are tired and your child wants you to watch their kids, listen to what I'm saying, so they can go out, they ain't going out tonight. They ain't going out tonight. Now, you make a plan, you can go out a different time, but you're not going out tonight because I'm tired. Especially if it's this last minute thing where they want to go kick it with their friends. No, no, no. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. We cannot give up ourselves so our kids can have this grand life as adults. No, that's not our job. That's not our job. Let me just say this. It ain't our job. We have this guilt like it's our job to do these things for our kids. It absolutely is not. No. Now you can be there for them. You can, hey, but it is not your obligation. And once my mother made me understand those things, it was very clear. But I would say my mother was a very kind and loving person and would do anything and step up if she had to, but she wasn't all the time. And one of the things my mother taught me, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to get off in a few, as a parent, I remember when Bianca was a baby and I was single, her daddy wasn't, her daddy, her biological, he wasn't right. And she had went to go get her first set of shots, so she got her first set of shots and she had a reaction to it. And Bianca cried constantly all night. She was just crying. I just couldn't get her settled. I couldn't. I was just trying. I was trying. Oh, she just would not settle. She was crying. I was tired and everything. And my mama was there in the other room. She was asleep. She was there. And I kept thinking, why won't mama help me? Why won't she help me? She hear this baby crying. And everything. And I was like, and so I was frustrated. First time mother, I'm frustrated and everything. And then finally I got her settled. We slept. And I think I was still on maternity leave or something. So I know I was home with her. And so the next morning, I was like, Mama, with an attitude, didn't you hear her crying? And she was like, I sure did. And I was like, well, why didn't you come and help me? She said, because that's your child. And it took me a second and it clicked. And I was like, she is my child. And she said she heard the whole thing. She was up the whole time, but she wouldn't come in because I had to deal with that as her mother. And that was a turning point for me as a parent right away. And it's interesting to say that is because I have seen other grandparents step in too much, take on too much burden, do this, do that, while their kid is out there living their best life and they're at home with the baby so they can go kick it and things like that. Well, I didn't have that mom. She was there when I needed her, don't get me wrong, but she would say no to me about those type of things sometimes because hey, these your kids. These your kids. So you need to, so no, I'm not going to just because you want to go out, then I'm going to be watching them all every weekend. One of those things. No, that wasn't going to happen in my life. And I appreciated that lesson my mother gave me because then I appreciated what she did for me without expectations, like it was like she had to do it for me. So the things that my mother did for me as an adult, those two things made me understand she's doing this because she loves me. She ain't got to do it. Right? So as grandparents, as parents of adults, I want you to remember that. We don't have to give them this fun life. No, that's on them. And they got to figure it out the same way that we had to figure it out. Because for some reason, we get in this space where we feel like they ain't got to figure, we ain't got to figure it out. You know, that they don't, that we should take on the burden for them so they can be happy go lucky, right? Right. And for me it was very, and that those two things my mother taught me was like the turning point as an adult. So as an adult, when my mother did things for me, I didn't have this expectation that she had to do it. I really did appreciate it because I knew she didn't have to do it and she wanted to do it for me. And it was like, okay, you know, and I did the same thing with my kids. You know, it was like, I listen, if you got somebody, a kid, a teenager, listen to this, listen and live it. The law says from 0 to 18, I have to take care of you, make sure you're okay, give you a good home, give you food, make sure you go to school. But now the rest is love. And that is the truth. The rest you do for your children is not an obligation. It is out of love for them. And if they don't understand that, how do you expect them to appreciate and treat you as a parent of an adult when you are still treating them like the child that they were, that they ain't anymore? All right. So I hope I gave y'all, you know, like I said, not a therapist, just a person who's lived a long time, had a lot of shit happen over the years, has learned a lot. So we're going to share it, you know. And so when we do these kind of conversations, I don't want it to be one-sided. Y'all got the rest of this month, and maybe into 2024 we'll do some more things like this. But I'm gonna need y'all to, you know, come on with it because we can help each other through these things. So be willing to be open and honest in the comments when we're having live chat so that you can release some of that. Maybe somebody will tell you something that you need to hear. Maybe somebody is feeling the same way and you feel all alone. And that's the thing about life. You are not alone in your feelings. Many of us have gone through it. Speaking of cats, can we have a conversation about my cat people? Can y'all explain this to me? Because y'all know I'm not the best. I'm not, you know, me and this cat, Juicy. So this is a challenge with Juicy. You know how they like to sleep on your bed. Okay, so I've become okay with that because, you know, as a dog person, a big dog person, I didn't have to worry about these things. But what I do is I put a sheet on top of my comforter and everything so she can lay on the sheet, right? That's her spot. You got the whole sheet, right? But I have noticed that she right over there on the bed living her best life. I got a new bed, a nice little gel mattress. She's in her best life, living her best life right now. That's why you don't hear it. She happy. But why do I wake up and she's like right here, want to lay right next to me? Or like if I don't, I can say if I'm running late in the morning and I don't, like, you know, fix the bed all the way and say, like, you know, some of the sheet, the finish, you know, my bottom sheet is showing at the top where I have my pillow, and I come home and she's laying right next to my pillow. You got a whole bed. It's all nice and neatly done for you. And you want to put your body next to where I have my head. We fight all the time about this, y'all. See, we not sleeping up under me, under no covers. I get she loves me. I get she loves me. but I need less love. She can love me on the other end of the bed. That's how I've designated the foot of the bed for her. That's her area. The foot of the bed. All right, y'all. Let me get out of here. You know, it's Saturday. I gotta go upstairs and get my boy for our sleepover. If he's still awake. It was good seeing y'all. And I need to do a little something for y'all. This filming I got stuff all stacked up I need to film. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great day. Talk to y'all later. My host squad. I got the next one. I got something for us. I got the next one is gonna be a little more positive. It ain't gonna be like, oh my God, it's gonna be something that we need to work on together. So maybe I'll try to schedule it and tell y'all to have some stuff ready. All right, y'all. Good night, everybody. Have a great night. D'Angelo, you came in late. Let me shut up.